Good morning, good morning. Hope everyone's well. Hi Peg, Luke, a couple of regulars already in. Sunday morning here, Saturday night for all of you in the US and somewhere in between for the rest of the world, I think. Yeah, that's right. I'm on time. Everyone else is late. I wonder how many people that expect me to be right on time are themselves. I'll admit I'm a person that is not often late, but I don't really have a problem with being 5 to 10 minutes late, whereas you've got some people that are very, very pedantic about that. I think Stephanie's like that as well, but I think that's more cultural, where Dutch people really dislike others that are tardy with their time and punctuality. But it is an area I must improve on. Just because I don't have a problem with people saying they're going to be here at 11 and they turn up 10 minutes later, 20, whatever, it's all fine, unless something very specific is going to happen and we're waiting on everyone else. But casually, yeah, I don't see a problem. Appointments, specific appointments, yeah, I get it. Anyway, I'm very orange today, including my mug. Can you tell I'm a designer? Anyway. Peg left a comment already. She says, avoiding the obvious in relationships adds to, if not compounds the issues. Communicate, don't guess or dance around the issues. Yeah, this was prompted by me, talking about this often, about direct communication being your best friend in most things. You're clear on how you communicate to others. People are as clear as possible in understanding you and seeing you exactly the way you want to be seen, especially if you put your best foot forward with language and expression. And afterwards, you don't kick yourself saying, why didn't I say that? Oh, I didn't say what I really meant. Why couldn't I communicate? These glasses are not really for this. And this was prompted where yesterday, Stephanie likes watching those dating reality TV shows, Golden Bachelor, those kind of things that are typically, girly and whatever. But in passing, when I go to the kitchen, I can hear little snippets of conversation from the couples on TV. And I know it's done for entertainment. And all of their problems stem from game playing, not communicating, hoping that the other person will just read what they really intend despite what they say. Despite what they say, their words paint a very different picture to what they actually want or what they mean. And the other person's supposed to interpret. And if you're supposed to interpret and you can interpret in 3 different opposing directions, which one do you pick? And Stephanie even said while she was watching these shows, it's entertaining and funny, but it's frustrating because she can't pick one person on the show that should be together. And that's precisely why they pick these people. But I think that because this is what we watch on TV, the popular dating advice channels online, the podcasts and things where people are shouting at each other and, men are good, women are bad, women are good, men are bad kind of thing. All you absorb is the fighting and the dislike between the two and how the other person's stupid because you can't understand my basic language and what's wrong with you. And each side thinks that. Each side thinks they're completely normal and great, and it's the other side's problem. And in hearing these couples not talking, not being direct and honest, where, when they're in private, it's just the camera, the boyfriend's not there, and the girl will say, well, I really want kids, but I really can't discuss it to him, with him. And if I say anything, I know how he's going to react and I don't want to lose him. And it's all this, I want to be honest, but I'm too afraid to be honest. And I'm really unhappy and frustrated. And I've been here for years and years and I can't leave. And I remember we went for a walk and I said, at the heart of my problems and the problems of these people who have relationships, whether it's work, not moving from where they live and finding another place, another neighborhood, leaving, going to another country, leaving their current partner that they're just used to and they don't want to lose the investment of the months and years they've been with someone because they might have been lonely and not had anyone. And so having a thing is better than not having a thing. When you were lonely and you just wanted company, you finally found company. And even if they might be nice, you feel like, well, I don't want to go back to no company. I don't like being alone. So it's a positive. Why would I throw away? It's like I need transport to get around. And I have a car that's completely not for me. It's better than not having a car. My life would be difficult. This is the feeling that people have, I think, when they pick the wrong person. For whatever reason, they're staying with them and suffering through them. They feel like having someone that's tolerable and you might get a lot of positives from, but the really big things you really struggle with and you fight with, it's better than not having anyone around, It's these people that can't be alone or don't like their own company and most importantly, don't know who they are. They will cheat, lie, steal, and do anything and tolerate and stress and have drama just to have some sort of animated life with bits of excitement and make-up sex and fights. And, you watch these reality TV shows and these couples are tearing each other apart, yelling at each other, swearing, just about to break up, right? And the music in the background is like Braveheart. It's like da-dun, 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 da-dun. It's really epic and tense. And then right before they walk out or break up, they put the beautiful music together in the background and it's like, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry too. Let's just forget it ever happened. We love each other. Yeah, let's just forget reality doesn't exist. Let me just remember to avoid all of these topics, keep them inside me like a boiling pot, and only be able to be honest about them to my girlfriends or online in the comments section or something. Let me be completely honest about parts of life I really want to get out and share, not to you, the person that I spend almost every waking hour with. At least the person I spend 10 to 18 hours out of a 24-hour day with, let me not share that with you. Let me really try and live life to the fullest. 1 hour with my friend Frank or 1 hour online. That's where I'll be completely myself. And it's avoiding this avoidance. I started to realize that whether it's the TV shows, entertainment, relationships, all the drama, tolerating a bad boss, it's all comes down to avoidance. Last week I talked about one's father passing away, not talking to the people you should talk to, not telling people how you feel about them, not being honest and saying sorry. I won't say sorry, I'm too embarrassed. And then when it's too late, and then the ghost never leaves you of the words left unspoken, the deeds left undone. And when I listen to myself, especially in older videos, and sometimes when I rant and complain, hopefully a lot of times I feel like I'm ranting and complaining with some sort of fun and levity. It's not really serious. I can be as rude, ranty, racist, or whatever in private with friends, and we can have a laugh. But in public, I like to think that I'm a respectful person that knows how to behave like an adult. But when I listen to myself in the past complain about most of my problems, it mainly stems from my avoidance and cowardice. It doesn't matter if the issue was bullies, girls, risks I was afraid to take that would get me happiness and contentment and all these things I always wanted, but just I wanted everything to be 100% risk-free. I mean, if I go out, if I want to surf, there's an element of risk, whether it's drowning, or sharks, whatever, like small risks. But if I want everything to be 100% risk-free, I will never enjoy myself. I'll never get the exhilaration from being close to the edge. You cannot get the view if you don't go close to the edge, as sensible as you can and with guard railing and whatever. But all this advice online about play it safe, don't say this, don't say that. And you think, why? Not even eloquently, with a beautiful vocabulary and clearly expressing myself where I and everyone else would be, you would be admirable with the language you use. Like, not even then? Really? Can't we admit to ourselves when we hear eloquent orators like Jordan Peterson or Christopher Hitchens or Douglas Murray or whoever it might be, that you consider a great public speaker, when we hear them, don't we admire them and wish that perhaps we could speak better? To be able to speak and verbalize the most uncomfortable topics, important ones, hear them coming out of your mouth, how proud would you be? How many times after the fact would you feel like I left nothing on the table and I'm proud of myself, rather than I didn't say this, I didn't speak up to my mother, I didn't speak up to my girlfriend, I didn't say this to my friend and they walked all over me, and again I feel like a doormat, again I feel like a doormat. You know, the more you can accurately and beautifully and clearly express yourself, you feel better, you feel confident, and you'll have the evidence of having a beautiful, clearly expressive language behind you, and that'll make you confident going into discussions and being able to hold your own and be able to discuss and even say, I don't know, beautifully and clearly. But when we just sit there and go, and you know what I'm saying, and not saying anything, letting someone walk all over us, and in private, amongst 2 or 3 people on Discord or in the comments, you have this little hidden bubble with a password needed to get into that little safe bubble of people that are triggered by everything, even their own inability to speak and have a little bit of courage to say no. Or let me think about that, and not being shamed by your family or a date or a girlfriend and saying, when they demand an answer now and you say, well, I don't have an answer now. Why are you pressuring me? Do you want an honest answer, or do you want me to just give you an answer that'll satisfy you now? Tell me. It's that kind of expression I wish more people would have. And look, I know reality TV is entertaining, but I don't think many people realize how much it bleeds into your view of the world. There's a lot of people say, I just watch, these women tearing each other apart in these love reality TV shows. It's just a bit of a laugh. It's not, because they're talking about real life and you really believe they're going through that and they are your best friends and you are having a dialogue with them. You can't wait to turn up and watch these shows watch these shows as though you're a part of it. It's so cerebral and so intense. The feeling you get, you feel like you're part of it. Your senses are like Pepsi on ice when you watch these things. They seem real. They feel real. It's like being immersed into the best horror movie where you really feel scared. You really feel like you're part of that, and it really jolts you, and you get a lot out of those reality TV shows. But you can tell people it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm just watching it for entertainment. But if that's all you watch, that's the only vocabulary and dialogue and thing you can respond to and talk about. And a lot of guys, they spend all their time in the manosphere. All the girls talk about and read about girl power, and all they do is dye their hair purple, and they write their blogs about patriarchy and all of that. That's the only dialogue you are exercising. It's the only dialogue you are practicing. It's the only thing your eyes see. Whatever you are practicing, whatever you are entertaining yourself with, that is what you are conditioning yourself to. if I don't practice speaking better, I'll lose, that muscle will atrophy. I will forget how to speak and communicate. If whatever you don't practice, you will lose. There's very few things, unless you've done them all your life. You know, if you pause a little while, the longer you've exercised that muscle, the longer it will take to deteriorate. But I realized all of this avoidance and game playing, and especially intelligent avoidance, like I hear a lot in online discussions, like, oh, let's cite science about why I find it hard to find a partner. And while we can observe the way the world has deteriorated, how a lot of social standards have deteriorated, if we don't insist in our world to speak better, insist that we go out with better people, talk to better people, walk away from terrible people, not be manipulated, know what relating is, know what good relating is. And when we see someone like Christopher Hitchens speak, or Douglas Murray, or Russell Brand, or whoever you might consider a beautiful and eloquent orator, if you don't get inspired by that and saying, yeah, I can see why he wouldn't have a problem with women, with friends, being able to stand up for himself with that beautiful tool. And all that tool is having an interest and a desire, first of all, but practicing like anything else. A lot of this stuff that people say, oh, well, we just can't, there's no point, the only way to win is not to play, is that you don't want to practice anything that could benefit you, and practice requires effort. If you don't want to have effort, if you don't want to give effort, then just be honest about it. It's not important to me, and I can't be bothered putting in the effort to speak better, to pick better people, to stand up for my values. You are not practicing to stand up for your values. That's why you get walked all over. But try here and there. Parents can't demand that you do something that's low level. Just for once say, no, I can't, mum, dad. And they expect you always to say yes, and just say, I can't because I'm doing this. And just take baby steps like that if it's too hard to jump out of the plane, to do it in a big way. Prince Revolver, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, that's the problem, human. Two people who are more loyal and honest with anything and everyone that isn't their partner, disposable partners. Yeah, if you can't be completely yourself with the person you're dating, the person you say you love, if you say, oh, my family loves me completely and everything, you spend all your time, and you say, like, they're my 100% best relationship, yet you hide a lot from them. Just be honest. Where can you be yourself without reservation? Think about that. And if you're being honest and you feel like, well, there's not many places actually, that should tell you something. And the same when you're with Chicky Poo and you've been dating them, and ask yourself these questions. And this is why a lot of isolated, lonely people that talk tough don't honestly ask themselves these questions, or people who are say they're happily married, and you say, yeah, like, I'm happily married, my life is great, because to actually be honest and look in the mirror and say, am I actually happy? Am I content? Do I sleep well? Can I say anything I want? Or do I compartmentalize how I speak with my significant other, and I avoid certain topics because that makes them blow up and I don't want to lose my life with them. And so I can be really honest here. And I'm not talking about certain hobbies and things where your partner really doesn't get you, but it doesn't cause friction. You trust each other, where it doesn't deteriorate trust or the foundation and security of your relationship. Can you be yourself and talk about anything you want, and it will absolutely not affect the security of your relationship with that person. So they may laugh at you in a funny way, they won't shame you, and they might say, well, I don't get that stuff, but there's no deterioration or threat to the relationship. Can you be yourself everywhere without having to avoid certain people in your life? And this is the avoidance that I talk about, because I did, certainly, and I'm happy to talk about areas, and whenever they come up in these streams and videos, when I'm talking about a certain topic, I reference my past and how I acted quite openly because I don't want to pretend to be the same spurg I was, well-meaning and looking for answers and annoyed and frustrated. But do I want to get rid of the annoyance I feel every time I complain about the same things? Do I really want to be happy? Or am I just virtue signaling about happiness to all the other complainers and victims and lazy weirdos just so, because I feel like I have a community there? Because if I stop complaining, all of a sudden I'm on my own. All of a sudden I have to say goodbye to all those cool guys. Love you, love most of you. But the moment I start to be honest about the things that really matter to me, especially if I want to talk on, say like, yeah, look, sometimes it is my fault. Don't you think, fellas? Sometimes it is our fault when we do A, B, and C, or when we avoid A, B, and C. Can you really blame Chicky Poo for acting this way if we never told her this beforehand? Isn't this reasonable for women with their nature to just act like this if we never said, did, walked away, or made ourselves known in who we are in this way? Then we can say she's a this or a that, and yeah, women are terrible. But if I was too cowardly to be someone I'm proud of, and then later on I'm acting as though I was the most noble, stoic, Marcus Aurelius, Arnold Schwarzenegger-esque kind of, however you want to paint me as a giant. Like I was the perfect guy and I was the angel and she was the devil, right? It's like, nah, were you really? Let me ask you, did you act like this? Well, not really. I was quiet. I was a silent, nice guy, but I acted like a hero. No, you didn't. You acted like a piece of furniture. You were completely neutral, but don't expect me to give a gold medal to neutrality. Please, I'm sick of men and women expecting to get a prize for being complete zeros and neutral and inoffensive and not special. If you are nice, that is the baseline foundation by which people can start to see if they like you, if you're particularly compatible with them, if you're interesting or whatever. People get annoyed that you have to have something else than just being neutral. Say you're a nice guy or girl, right? Completely nice, you're not obese, you're nice looking, you're polite, you're civil, you have manners, you're raised well, right? There's you that's like that, and then there's another person, like if you're a guy, two of you, exactly the same nice neutral guy, but this guy plays guitar. She's going to pick the guy that plays guitar. Or ladies, you're nice, not obese, nice looking, whatever, and this girl has a hobby. Who is it going to pick if you're identical twins? She's going to pick someone with extra. And the extra is just be interested in something. Be honest. Speak honestly and well. Do you know how better my dating life got in my 30s and 40s when I just wanted to speak better and get over the hurdles that were frustrating me about my own delivery? Do you know how much better and more interesting I appeared for them? I wasn't doing it for them. I don't care. They're strangers. I don't know them. After the first date, I'll probably never see most of them again. But because I wanted to be proud of it, I wanted to feel good, I didn't want to kick myself later, I was probably inspirational or refreshing, let's say that, to a few of them. And not because I was trying to impress. I was proud of myself and in a sense impressed myself by doing what I knew I should do and the ways in which I should have improved myself. And then they started to see the results of the same thing that I was trying to proudly get to myself. Does that make sense? So we're not doing these things for women. The result might be that they get impressed, but we are impressing ourselves first. And that can't be understated enough. And oh, hi, Luke, Prince Revolver, Rocket, how are you? I'm just saying hi to some of the regulars here. Remember, if you'd like to put a comment down or super chat during this stream, if you're here, drop a a couple of emojis before your comment or question just so I can see them during this feed. Otherwise, it's just a whole bunch of people talking, which is fine. But if you want to specifically ask me something, drop 3 emojis, especially preferably smiley faces before your comment or question. Or super chat me like a Prince Revolver here, and I'll definitely see it and read it. But yeah, hang on, let me just change this to a live chat so I might see everything. But it really struck me on these dating shows that we don't socialize, right? So we don't have real conversations. The only conversations we're part of are the shows we watch and the videos we watch. So we watch YouTubers who present. So it's a perfect presentation. It's not the real person most times. We watch reality TV, over emotional and dramatic reality TV shows. And that's the only reality we imbue. And so our sense of real is very, very warped. Remember, the relationship you have with a person or with your entertainment or with your hobby, anything and everything, I keep saying this, is a relationship. You and your hobby, you and Chicky Poo, you and your family, you and the neighborhood you live in, you and the job you hate, they are all relationships that are wearing you out, making you bitter, or making you reflect and change, or filling you up and energizing you and making you want to get up in the morning for something. If all you have in your life are things that are tearing you down and draining your battery, you'll just get depleted and you won't want to get out of bed. The only things that will momentarily recharge your battery is therapy or pharmaceuticals or woke bullshit that gives you a false sense of happiness. So, yeah, the avoidance of these TV shows, I just watch them and I know I don't take them seriously. And I assume most people don't, but I assume often too much of the general public. And we all know the average normie, the average consumer out there is not very intelligent and doesn't care about their lives very much, despite what they say. They want the government, women, men, someone else to save them. And it's always someone else's fault to save them and fix their lives. So they're pretty stupid, pretty lazy, and pretty selfish. And I don't want to be part of them. I don't. I don't want to have them as friends. I can't trust them as friends. Neither should you. But again, do what you want. It's your life. And I watch these shows and, you know, one chick wants kids and it's a non-negotiable. She wants kids and the guy she's been with for years just doesn't want to, and that's non-negotiable. And they are just at a stalemate and they refuse to leave the board game and find a person to play with that wants to play the same game as them. If the most important thing in both your lives is going in different directions, if you're not playing the same game, then play with someone who plays the same game as you. You'll enjoy the game. There's no point. If I love playing chess, I am not going to play with someone who likes playing, I don't know, shopping. And trying to compromise in the middle where you're never playing chess and she's never shopping, but you both, I don't know, eat dinner. It's, you know what I mean? It's stupid. Just because I don't want to be alone or they look beautiful or attractive or my self-esteem is so low that I don't think I will get another person ever again. Or your ex was so bad that this incompatible neutrality that you call a girlfriend or boyfriend is better than the train wreck you have. Having someone better than a train wreck or better than the worst people you see on reality TV does not make a compatible, trustworthy partner. I think people are also getting smarter online and we're getting sick of drama more and more, and that's a good thing. But let me know what you think in the comments section as well. Hi, Mr. Adam's Apple. Look, Melissa says self-improvement is like self-love. It is, but the cliche of what self-improvement is online and these gurus, the 3-step programs, the hard thing is someone who really needs self-help isn't the best judge of quality because they really need help. They haven't got space in their head to burden themselves with stoic, calm discernment of, the person I'm listening to that's trying to self-help me, that's trying to help me, have they got the same life experience? Are they saying the words that really resonate? Or am I just clutching for anything? Am I someone who's drowning that will take anyone who's saving me? Or are you someone who's drowning and you've got the discipline to say no to certain people who are saving you unless it's the right person that saves you? That's very hard for someone who's desperate. And I feel for those people. But that's the problem with therapy as well, is that when you get to the point of really needing therapy, you also have to have the wherewithal and maturity to realize whether this therapist or that therapist is good for you. Say you've got a problem with self-esteem, right? And that's the underlying issue you're going to therapy for. Now you pick a therapist and you don't get along with them, and then you feel uncomfortable. You don't feel, your instincts are telling you this isn't working, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like this. But your lack of self-esteem is like, well, I feel like a piece of shit now if I give up on this. But it might not be your fault. It's because you're incompatible with the therapist and you don't know it. So there are all these problems with avoidance. So face the pain, eat it, deal with the reality of who you are, your fears, your laziness, where you think you're strong, but actually it's there are people that say, well, I'm not this, and they're proud of it, or I'm just this, and they're proud of it. But that's the thing that's keeping them stuck. Stop avoiding the thing that's an anchor. Stop acting smarter than what you are if that cleverness is holding you back. Hubris is the other end of people who are really too hard on themselves. I hope I'm not confusing some people, but this avoidance of what medicine you really need to take, and I'm being figurative here, I'm not being literal. The thing that you need to do, say, or face is the thing that will help you. Because avoidance is why everything tends to feel hard for most people who are complaining and find life habitually hard in those areas that just loop over and over again. How come it doesn't loop for this person? How come your specific problems don't loop for me? And it may have looped for me, but I can tell you how I stopped them looping for me. But you just don't want to try it. You'd rather try what you've done 100 times before that you know probably doesn't work, and you'll kick yourself, rather than for once try for 5 seconds what me or someone else suggests. And if it doesn't work, call me an idiot whose advice didn't work, and at least you'll be more sure about what does work for you, rather than being sure about something that never worked. You believe in yourself less, and you have a really terrible ethical blueprint by which you're trying to go about life. Whichever way you cut it, avoiding your problems is your problem. Almost all, if not most of your problems will disappear or get better, or you'll have the confidence to tolerate them with a smile on your face if you stop avoiding. I hope I'm not coming off as some meme here, but encapsulating all of these little fragmented issues that people think they're clever with, like, well, men and women and the government and all these little forensic details of how they look. They're not looking at the big picture. They're zooming in so much and fixing every thread of life, and their life looks like a mess, Anyway, the problems you avoid create more problems. And if you don't, I said this in the last stream with people in your life who pass away, and then you can never say the things you wanted to say. When it's too late, there's nothing worse than too late, as Charles Bukowski says. There is nothing worse than too late. And the less you avoid, the less too late moments you'll have. What's been your thoughts on this? I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys. Screen Eye says, would you agree that the avoiders find their abusers? Yes. Narcissists usually have a relationship with people-pleasing avoidance. This guy in the past. The women that really walked all over me, I'm a pretty reasonable, agreeable, nice guy. Ask Stephanie. She's often defending me against a person that says the slightest wrong thing to me or looks at me the wrong way, which is a nice indication I'm with the right person. But she's always telling me, you're such a nice person. And objectively, she's not just saying it because she loves me. She's a very analytical person, and she's objectively telling me something that I know is true. I'm a nice person. I am. I might have fun and rant and whatever, but I'm a fairly agreeable, nice person. But avoiders, like who I used to be much more of, and nice guys and people pleasers, let their families dictate their life, let every girl they go out with dictate their life, and they only feel like they're living and free alone, but they also feel lonely. Now, if you can learn to love solitude, that's fine, but is it because you've just become accustomed to it and there's just so little stress compared to dealing with people? And your problems with people isn't people, it's your avoidance of just being who you are and not apologizing and not taking shit. Would you be less of a misanthrope if you avoided things less? That's the question. Because it's easy to say, I don't like people, I'm going to be a shut-in, I'm going to avoid the world, I love my own company. Yeah, compared to the world and your avoidance, of course, yeah, I can see that 100%. It's very easy to see that you love your solitude and you would just want to be fed like a prisoner in a cell, given your food and shit, and I'll leave the world alone, just leave me alone. It's part of the reason me and Stephanie would love to, if you won the lottery, great, you have to deal with the world less. But also be honest, how much of the world would give you less problems the more you avoid your issues with the world and speaking and things like that? Zaman 2020 says, I had a girlfriend with such a made-up personality it was unbearable. A lot of people put on these masks and they're very good at presenting and they talk in cliches. And as someone who wants to have very genuine conversations and really gets refreshed by an individual with their own words, and you can see them coming up with their language like I hope you see with me now, you can connect with a genuine, compatible person much better because you are refreshed by an individual because you are focused on being yourself more as an individual. But if you're scared of that and you have no interest in that, you like the corporate culture, you like saying the right lines, the right things, you like avoiding conflict, you like being praised for being a good little boy or good little girl, and that's more important than being seen and heard as you, then there are a lot of girls and guys out there, especially girls who tend to be much more avoidant, especially at the start of relationships, because women can be completely silent and avoidant and the guy can do all the talking. So the guy's the more confident one. If he is confident, he learns to be more confident. He learns to express himself more, hopefully, because if he doesn't show who he is, or at least something, then a relationship doesn't even happen. You just got two silent people sitting across from each other. So women tend to be, on average, much more avoidant, zip their lip, even if they're terrible people or very avoidant, quiet people that don't even know how to express themselves. And later on, a guy or a girl finds themselves with this avoidant, mute, invisible person with a wall between you and them because they don't say anything. You need to show people who you are, and they need to see who you are for your sake first and for their sake. You don't want to waste other people's time because you don't want them to waste your time. You come first, and as a result, other people benefit. So you have sympathy for them because you're selfish about expressing yourself first. Does that make sense? Jordan says, you rock the shaved head really well. I'm struggling with taking the leap and holding on to scraps for hair, avoiding the issue. Did you struggle to take the leap into owning your hair loss? Thanks, man. I like this question. It is tangentially related to attraction to women, but I want to talk about genuinely being proud of yourself, because I think your problems with women will go away. The more you have a sense of yourself and you speak better and think better, a lot of these problems will take care of themselves. In terms of a shaved head, I had a problem when I was in my 20s because I was fairly thin, played a lot of sports. I was very gaunt, thin, athletic, very low body fat, but I ate like a horse and couldn't gain weight. And I really wanted to cut my hair because I love the simplicity of it, the streamline, but I looked like I was in chemo. And it really didn't suit me. And I had a lot of acne when I was younger as well. It's only when I filled out and gained a bit of weight that the shaved head started to suit me later in life. So I think if I had a full head of hair now, look, I think being thinner with the full head of hair, like I was in my 20s and younger, I think I objectively looked better. If I had a full head of hair now, I would still be, relatively attractive for who I am on the scale of attractiveness. But I think the thinner you are with a full head of hair as a man, you look better than the same guy with weight. I think when you're fuller, you have more weight, a shaved head actually benefits you, if that makes sense. So I did have a little bit of anxiety, but what I did, I took little adventures with it. At any time and point, I took a little risk, because shave your head, if you look terrible, wait a few weeks, it grows back. So it's only temporary, But permanent hair loss is permanent hair loss. So taking little adventures and little courageous leaps into, let me shave my head when I don't have to, but I really, really am interested and curious, gives you confidence, Look at someone like, I'd say, David Beckham. When he was young, he shaved his head. I don't think he looked as good than he does with a full head of hair. And he tried, but it doesn't suit him. Give it a try. Again, try some stuff. This is the beauty of trying. You will find out. If you don't try, you won't find out. You can sit back and have all the theories about women and yourself, and if, I'll be confident my life will turn out if I don't do. If you don't take little baby steps and have little victories and learn from them, you will never know. You will never know. So give it a shot. Unlike women who have a long head of hair and they cut themselves short, they have to wait a year for it to come back, and it's a lot more painful. As a guy, cut your hair short as you feel like you look okay, and then shave your head. Don't go to 0. Go to a 1 or a 2 and see how you like it. The beauty of the mute button. Zaman 2020 says, sometimes you have to avoid people that can't and will not try and understand you. They have an agenda that doesn't fit their ideology. That's true, but sometimes you're just two incompatible people. Your life experience is so different that you're boring the bejesus out of somebody, and they're trying to be polite and patient, but how long can you sit? I mean, how long can I sit with a screaming child? Not as long as some people, So, also, people don't have to understand you. But I'm talking about you really hamstringing yourself when you don't work on expressing and showing yourself as honestly as you actually are and want to be seen and are proud of, and the way your closest friends see you, and the way you write in your diary. If you can get closer to that person, then the people that you don't go out with hurt less because you realize they're not for you. But if you don't have a sense of who you are and you don't have the courage to express or even find out or have a care about finding out who you are, even by talking better, I mean, if at the very least your journal doesn't know you well, how do you expect anyone else to? Following that, if your vocabulary and your lexicon and, you know, your verbal delivery to people, if that's not trying to keep up with your diary, and if those things aren't in tandem, you can't expect to be a 3-year-old all your life. You can't talk. You're immature, and you want every girl, employee, government, and everyone to treat you like they're your mummy. You will never feel proud of yourself. You never will. Never will. The life left unlived by not speaking up. Hey, Karu. Yeah, abusers and avoiders both have a distorted locus of control. Yeah, if you're uncomfortable with the word love as a guy, use the word respect. If you don't respect yourself after a date because you didn't say certain things, or you let a girl walk all over you, or your current girlfriend treats you a certain way, or your parents do, or you think you're a piece of shit, work on being proud of yourself as a guy. If you don't like the vaginal language of love and, you know, togetherness and the universe and whatever doesn't work for you that makes you kind of shrivel up, replace them with synonyms that are more sort of in line with stuff that makes you go in the right direction. So respect, honor, stability, reality, truth, honesty, you know, those kind of noble masculine traits that you can really work towards and use in your vocabulary. A lot of vocabulary you use, it really can make you go backwards and not investigate areas where you can improve, like the word feelings. A lot of the guys hear the word feelings and it's like, ugh, feelings. I do science. Women do feelings. It's like, yeah, that's exactly why you have problems with women. That's exactly why you can't leave your job. That's exactly why you can't speak in public or stand up to your family or have the inability to leave this crappy neighborhood and move somewhere else. This is why you don't want to travel, even if you would really like to escape and see something else and open your eyes and stop Groundhog Daying your life. Yeah, this is a thing. You get older, you lose your hair, but your hair grows in areas that you don't want it to grow. Like for some reason, hair grows in and around your ears. You start losing hair from your lower legs as well as a guy, between your knee and your ankles. You start losing hair and it gets patchy. It happens to every guy. It's really weird. And the hairier you are as a guy, like myself, I have Serbian heritage, the weirder it is when you start sort of patching. Not necessarily your torso, but yeah, lower legs. That's weird. Yeah, the Peter Pan syndrome. It's hard to stop enjoying your life because on the one hand, I never want to lose my youthful enthusiasm to draw and create and get the most out of life and go for a run and hike and talk and investigate and like just throw a lot of color at life and enjoy it and drink it up. As Picasso said, the hardest thing in life is for the adult, I'm paraphrasing, to keep the child alive is the hardest thing. So on one hand, you've got to responsibly keep the child alive, but keep it in check and have a well-behaved child still within you and cultivate that. But at the same time, you can't be a 5-year-old running your life as a 5-year-old with no adult in the room. You let the child out while the adult is supervising always. Yeah, Melee says you want hairy, try being Greek. Yeah, that's the cliche, isn't it? Hairy Greeks. I like Greek people. I think out of most nationalities, including my own growing up, I have a Serbian heritage, but for some reason, I really get along with Greeks well. Like right off the bat. I don't know what it is. It could be when my family came to Australia, they both had to work, shortly after I was born, to sort of make money. And the woman in my street that took care of me and one or two other kids that my family knew, she was an old Greek woman. And I learned Greek and I knew Greek by the age of like 3 to 4, better than Serbian or English. I was fluent in Greek. I lost it later because I didn't hang around people to practice the language. Again, practice. But I wonder if it was because of that familiarity that was, tattooed into me from my very first habitual caregiver, which was an old Greek woman. But and I know there's also the Orthodox relationship. Greeks and Serbians are fairly close and simpatico culturally. But I've always felt very, very. I felt the most comfortable with Greeks, then my own heritage, and then Europeans, and then lastly, I feel I feel very ostracized, and I can't make sense of certain cultures and dialects and stuff like that. Alonso says, I shave my back once a month. Well, yeah. A lot of guys have to shave in certain areas. Not so much the complete manscaping, but if you don't like hair in a certain area, shave it, trim it. I like neatness, I like a neat beard. If I had a patchy beard, I would be clean shaven. I'm thin, I've still got a full head of hair, but I'm heavily thinned out here. So either it's the way it's supposed to be, but I'm not half-assing it. I can either be neat, shaved head, and own it, or I can not be. And the beauty of the more weight you gain, the better a shaved head looks. The thinner you are, the sicker you look as a guy. So I would say when and if you got hair when you're younger, enjoy the hair. Later on, if you shave your head and you gain weight, don't worry about it. It gives you an excuse to eat a little bit more if you've got a fast metabolism. All right. So what are your thoughts on avoidance is where everything feels hard? This is my contention. Let me look at some of the comments here. I put a post down yesterday about how the problems you avoid create more problems. And I said, avoidance is where everything feels hard. I had a realization yesterday that all the reality TV shows, entertainment, relationship dramas we see, where people play games, don't speak up, and cause conflict, it all comes down to avoidance, and that's it. When I listen to myself recount some of my problems in the past, it mainly stemmed from my avoidance and cowardice. It doesn't matter if the issue was bullies, girls, or risks, or effort. What's been your experience? And some of the comments. Screen Eye said, from my experience, avoidance happens unconsciously at a younger age because fitting into a group or pleasing a particular person seems more important when you're young. Actually, what I might do, it seems more natural if I move this here and move this here. Yeah, I think that because I'm looking at the comment. This is me. Anyway. The desire to be liked often leads to conformity and submission to prevailing trends of the zeitgeist. Perhaps this is a consequence of being raised without strong role models and a common mindset amongst people who only find validation through conformity within groups. Yeah. And if you had to conform as a child because your parents insisted you conform, you do not speak up. You say the right things. You're polite in certain ways. Don't embarrass us. You can go off to your room and read your books and do what you want, but in public, you walk and quack like a duck. You act like that animal, or you don't get fed. You don't get the roof over your head. It seems rather rare for a person to develop their natural potential very, very early on and without fear, not only know their genuine individual needs, but also live and communicate them in interactions with others. Only by developing one's own authentic personality is it possible to take risks or stand up for yourself, enduring fair conflicts, and thus creating a fulfilling life. I agree, and I think a big thing for men is that we don't have father figures. We have father figures or men that are effectively quiet. They're not there. They're afraid of their wives. They're afraid of their mothers. They're afraid of society. They're always kept in check. And you're not actually told to stand up for yourself by your father or anyone around you. A woman can't tell you to. She can just tell you to be nice. My mother just taught me to be nice. How can she teach me from a masculine point of view the difference between being aggressive and being confident and stoic and having courage like a man? She can't. She can teach me what she finds admirable, but she can't teach me what a man finds admirable from his eyes and perspective, what really makes him proud and come alive. She can only tell me what makes a woman feel safe and what a woman respects, but only a man can teach another man what a man respects. And when you learn that, you feel confident, you feel good about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, other women will feel good being around you. But women, as a starting point, are terrible teachers to men of what it's like to be a man. They can't. Any more than I can protect and raise a daughter as a single father, but she's not being taught how to be a woman and be confident in her femininity and her moral compass as a woman. All she knows is a general, external, relatable civility and a respectable politeness that, I'm proud of, my theoretical daughter in the way she conducts herself with people. But in and of herself, how other women see her, I'm going to ostracize her because I can't teach her anything. Other women might find her a tomboy or weird or distant, or she just doesn't have the neural pathways and the things associated with being mentored by a woman, by a mother, by a female role model. So a lot of guys are hamstrung by not having male role models. And even if they had a father, their father was invisible or absent. Prince Revolver says, learning how much time you don't have left is the biggest kick in the balls, especially when reality forces you to accept that it's your fault. You can't run or hide from your own thoughts. Yes. As much as realistically possible, everything is your fault unless objectively, yep, they're to blame for this, they're to blame for that. But the more ownership you take, the more it's your world, and you become selfish and direct, and everything has your say in it because you believe it's yours. Then at least you'll speak up. At least you'll have an opinion. But if you don't, then the world is everyone else's. It's a woman's world. It's the government's world. It's your mum's world. It's Chicky Poo's world. It's just a world designed by everyone else except for you because you don't think you deserve anything. And you only get to speak. You get the scraps from Longshanks's table, for those who know what that reference is. David P. says, I spent the last few years learning this, and it's been a hard lesson. Now I try to face problems head on. I don't always succeed, but sometimes success isn't the goal. Understanding why I have the problem is. That is very important. That's really astutely put, David. Understanding why you have the problem. You don't need to succeed. You don't need to get anywhere with the goal. Like, I want to be this person. Everyone's so goal-driven, like be this high-value man, get this much money. Being honest about what the problem and issue is and what path you need to be on, rather than the destination, right? I'm frustrated with this stupid path, this muddy, ridiculous path. I know I should be on this one. That is your solution, not where you eventually get. You will get to great places you never even imagined, you never even mapped out. But the realization that understanding the why and where you are, and that's the thing. That's a beautiful realization, David. Harris, these long avatar names. Harris the Second Coming says, overthinking is one of the biggest traps in the avoidance of taking action. I would know. Prime example of suffering in imagination more than reality. Who was the author that said something akin to, I have suffered so much in my life. I have suffered so many things in my life, most of which never happened. I've suffered so many moments of in my life, moments of which never happened. Something like that. Was it Thoreau? Or I can't remember who it was. Tube the Noob says, interacting. Actually, I'll read those later. I'll keep reading these. Jordan says, nice. A little extension on the issue we discussed last week. Looking forward to this one. You can tell I'm guilty of this myself. Yeah, I think we can tell when we meet a person and we talk to them that doesn't have any of these issues. And the internet is full of people that act like they're perfect and they don't have any problems, and they laugh at you and they troll everyone else. But the moment you looked into their lives or found out who they were or saw a photo of them or heard them speak, that would be embarrassed and they would run away. Don't avoid your problems. Your life will be better. You'll feel lighter. You'll smile more. You'll enjoy your life more. Wow, this is a real light bulb moment for me. Not really because of stasis, but if you are in a downward spiral, you can't escape it. Yeah, you're effectively sliding down and letting go rather than stopping at least. And then the more you allow yourself to slide into a hole, you'll have to dig yourself out. I really feel like, you know the phrase digging your own hole or digging your own grave. I feel like it's just sinking into your own grave. You just let go and you just sink and sink and sink. You have to put in the effort to dig yourself out. So it's a very unconscious thing that people do. But consciously, you have to really find your way out. You have to know what you're doing. Rocket says, I'm just going to avoid answering that. All right. Tube the Noob says, avoiding interacting with society as a whole is the most powerful thing feminists did to remove men from society. Our government did this. They encouraged feminists. That's why the CIA funded feminism, from what I know. And all the stuff they keep encouraging, promoting, and funding in society, they're funding the problem to create more chaos so the governments get bigger, so people don't control their own lives. It's very easy to see why they keep funding and supporting and not censoring the problems. Censor the problems, the real problems, get people to stand up for themselves, but they won't. They want people fragmented, broken, needing therapy and antidepressants, arguing over shit, promoting fresh and fit podcasts and bullshit dating advice rather than actually having, not necessarily my channel, but more stoic, reasonable discussions where we're smarter and we can stand up for ourselves and we can control our lives. They don't promote ways of thinking and being where we don't need the government, where we don't need to shop, where we don't need a girlfriend, where we don't, like, all the discussions and videos where you're self-sufficient and you become more of a responsible adult and have a really good moral compass and a really strong ethical framework that you're always adjusting because you think this is important and you want to be in control of your life. That doesn't get promoted, that gets censored, but they promote the dysfunctional crap. They produce reality TV. Oh, it's just entertainment. Really? Is it? Is it? Neanderthal says, full head of hair, 45 years old. My hair is going grey with white stripes. Beard still darker with complete white stripes. Looks fun. Well, at least you got a full head of hair, dude. That's pretty admirable. I mean, you can't do much about it, but when I see old guys with a beautiful head of hair, even if it's grey, man, good for you. Life's not fair, but good for you, man. Prince Revolver, thank you for the super chat. He says, a failure is part of overcoming avoidance. The gears in my head didn't really start to turn until my mid-20s to early 30s. Well, mine didn't until my 30s and early 40s. So I was a bit of a avoidance screw-up, a bit of a coward longer than you were. Depending when on it happens in your life will determine a lot of going forward. Yes, yes. I want to make up for lost time as well. And my wheel spinning avoidance for longer than I should have. When I hear a guy who's in his 20s that had the realizations I had in my late 30s or early 40s, I want to applaud. And that's maybe one of the good things about the internet, but only if you decide to take the theory and test it in public with you and your empirical life. Tube the Noob says, appreciate your input. Broken men are much easier to governments, aren't they? Who gets voted off the island this week? Which new video game came out? Don't pay attention to anything that matters. Yeah. I get messages every week and I have some sympathy, but really, guys, I don't care about the reality TV of the world. And when you talk about the worst kind of women, they are, you might as well just be talking about a reality TV show of Karen or Barbara that just spurged out and was the worst kind of woman that no one within their right mind would date. It's fun, but I don't care. They are not an example of what you should even be dating. Like, I'm laughing at you, I'm laughing at her, but I'm also laughing at you for looking at her so much, at listening to her so much, at how long do you watch the car wreck? I get guys every week, and I have sympathy for you guys, but my life would be better if I didn't hear your messages either. But again, I'll listen to you because I know you're going through stuff, and hopefully later on you'll move past it. But just message after message of, look at this article, look at this woman, women really are terrible. I need to stop dating the worst kind of women. It's like, and every week it's the same thing. It's like, stop being a victim. Stop temporarily being proud of, look, you are the fat person who's going to start their diet on Monday. That's what it is. And at some point, if you're the same fat person that I hear every week, it gets old, man. You're the boy that cried wolf. I have sympathy, but not Groundhog Day virtue signaling. Please. If you only get energized fighting against women, that's where your energy goes. Fight for yourself by not enjoying the circus anymore. You have to start enjoying peace, tranquility, happiness, getting fitter, better, walking in the sunlight instead of jumping on a roller coaster. If you only get your thrills from jumping on the roller coaster, and then you're telling me about how you got sick and how this was frightening and this is the worst. Like, I know, but don't ride the roller coaster. But human, did you see the roller coaster? Like, I don't fucking care. I'm passionate about this because you guys are, I'm not your dad. I want to be your friend. Stop looking at me like I'm your father. I sympathize with people who didn't have a father, but grow up. Please grow up for your own sake. I want you to be happy and proud of yourself, not be a 5-year-old looking up to daddy. You know, have good conversations and stop fucking complaining, especially if all you get inspired by is complaining. Why do I go on these rants? Anyway, I bet you Karu loves this. I'm blaming Karu for this. And Rocket. I can't blame Boffin. Boffin never does this. I'm somewhere between Boffin and Karu and Rocket. Now, Karu's saying, F you, human. All right, any final questions? Alonzo says, salt and pepper George Clooney look, except I have no money. Well, that's actually to your benefit. If you look like George Clooney, have no money, at least your looks are you, even if they're superficial. George Clooney has looks and money, so I would say I'm not surprised why it took him so long to find someone he wanted to be with. You're always skeptical of anyone who has interest in you. Bob is on point tonight. That's right, Bob. In case you don't know my name. All right. Any... Thanks, Shadow Ghost. Here's a tenner for the rant. Thanks. Give me a... Yeah, if you want me to rant, just give me a donation. It'll just be like a rant channel. I get a whole bunch of donations before a stream. It's like, oh, well, there's my topic. I'll just rant. What topic do you want me to rant about? Or do you want me to be calm and stoic? And do you want me to help you? Or do you want me to eloquently hate the world for you? All right. How long have we been going for? Let's see. Just over an hour. Stream's working. What do you think of... I changed cameras today as well. I haven't used this camera on the stream for 2 years. What do you think? Oldest camera I've got. One, I don't think I'll ever... I know I'll never give it away. It's getting long in the tooth. My other cameras are better in so many ways, but this is just... The autofocus is shit, right? I'm using a Panasonic GH5 with a Leica 12mm 1.4. But the clarity is beautiful on this thing. It's much more cinema-like. You don't get as blurry a background, but it's just there's something beautiful about a Micro Four Thirds look. Anyway, and the microphone, this thing here, in case you're interested, is the... What's it called? It's called the Audio-Technica AT875R shotgun microphone. In terms of a really nice boom shotgun microphone that's made for voice, this is I would highly recommend this. Highly, highly recommend this. It's it's probably one of the most affordable shotgun microphones that movie students tend to buy to make really good low-budget movies, you know, for movie students, but it really does punch above its weight. It's very smooth, very neutral. All right. But yeah, this, I love this camera. GH5, and I'm severely tempted to get the GH7. Then I can actually chuck it on autofocus. But I've got one or two cameras that I don't use, and I feel if I didn't have them, I would have more than enough money to buy a couple more cameras. But yeah, I just need to really see if I want it or not. Anyway, any further comments? If not, let's wrap this up so we can all enjoy our weekend. Let me know your comments below about how and if avoidance has played a big role in your life. And a lot of our fear is just avoidance. Like if you just look at avoidance as an umbrella that's ruining it, part of your life. If you're frustrated, what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding not speaking up? Are you avoiding not dating better people? You keep doing the same thing. Are you avoiding the right thing because the other thing's more comfortable? Let me know below. And remember that avoidance is why everything probably feels hard for you. Watch my latest video, how I talked about changing my life in my early 40s, very early 40s. Last stream, giving advice to someone else, one of the subs who recently lost their father, and giving some advice on that. This is a chat I had with Quaz, and also a couple of days ago I had a chat with my wife Stephanie about would we recommend marriage? Is marriage a good idea? Short answer, we wouldn't recommend it, but it's very specific, and we had a really interesting discussion about the context in which I would maybe say, well, maybe I would never recommend it, but I would feel confident saying, well, good luck to you. And I really wouldn't warn them much, but it was an interesting discussion we had about marriage, whether or not it's a good idea. Generally today, especially in the West, I would, if I had to lean in one direction, I would say, yeah, marriage is not a good idea, especially blindly. because statistically, you just got to, if you're closing your eyes, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to regret it. And you're better off having your eyes really wide open. And I would recommend no. But human, you're married. Yeah, but there's also reality as well. I can see a specific situation and how I am and how I would go about it. I go about things very stubbornly and specifically via who I am. And I don't really care what other people think if I'm really passionate about something and I want to do something. I do care to some degree. I don't like upsetting people, but you're not going to tell me I can't draw, who I can love, who I can go out with, what I can talk about, and what kind of life I live. And that's from family to girls to bosses to governments to anyone online. You can annoy me, but at the end of the day, you're never going to stop me trying something out, touching a stove to see if it's hot, or taking a calculated risk because I know that there's something I want on the other side of that, and I can't get it unless I take that calculated risk. I'm not going to sit here and do nothing. Of course I'm going to be a little bit uncomfortable to get something that's really exciting. What's wrong with you? Daniel says, the trap is analysis paralysis. I say it's better to take imperfect action and learn from potential mistakes than seek perfection but not make any moves in life. Yes, I agree. And this stream is an example of that. I was terrible at live public speaking. I'm still not great at it. But I ummed and ahed a lot, fumbled around my words. You could go watch my first streams. It's embarrassing. I don't watch them. But I need to evolve out loud by actually doing this in real time. I need to fumble through and get better in reality. You can't perfect this stuff in dating and whatever without testing it. This is a practical application. Relationships are practical. They're not just theoretical. You're not perfect and you don't know everything about relationships or speaking or writing if you don't write, if you don't speak, if you don't relate. Great theories. Feminists have great theories too. How practical are they? A lot of university students, especially in the humanities, have great theories. In the social sciences, great theories, great world building. How connected to human nature and reality of people out there and the way realistically people are. How connected to it is that? Not very. And then they bitch, moan and complain when the world isn't like their theories. But I believe this. Well, I'm glad you do. I believe in drawing as well, but I know that most of the world doesn't believe in drawing the way I do. I believe in, take your pick. There's a lot of specific personal beliefs I have, and I think they're great, and other people don't care. Other people completely hate them. You have to engage with the world with reality. Melee says, you need a lot of uncomfortable conversations if you're going to get married, not facade conversations. And especially early on, have uncomfortable ones because you're nervous at the start. Ripping Band-Aids off at the start is uncomfortable little ooh, ah, whatever, because you don't care. You just met them. They're nice, but you don't care. Later, when you're with them, it's not going to be peeling a Band-Aid off. It's going to be ripping your skin off. Realize that. At the start, it's ripping Band-Aids off. At the end, it's ripping your skin off. Don't do it. And also, if you really believe they're going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be so frightening, then it will be. But if you tell yourself, no, this is just uncomfortable, but really necessary because after this, it's either going to be real and I'm going to like them because it's real, or it's not going to be real and we're going to break up because it's real. I would rather have the reality of what is rather than the fantasy and the perfect utopia that we create and talk about online, but nothing happens. Your life is impotent if nothing happens. Especially as a guy, we need stuff to happen. We need to see evidence. If the only evidence you have is what doesn't work and giving up is the only evidence of consistency, it's a very, very black and white existence. my wife, my life, I'm speaking like an Asian, my wife, my life has, I insist that my life has color by the way I go about it stubbornly. If there's two ways to approach life, one is selfishly more fun and the other one is impotent and victimhood, I would rather choose the former. Symmetry says, why did you start the channel in the first place? I've mentioned this a few times, but for the newbies there, it was mainly about talking about my frustrations with the relationships I was having, trying to find a long-term partner, going out with women, you know, I had 5 long-term relationships prior to Stephanie in my life, and I was always a guy looking for long-term. Yeah, in between, it's fun here and there. You have a fun in a moment, whatever, but I don't like the nervousness. I always wanted the honeymoon period to be over. I started my channel to work out my relationship problems and discuss with other men and let a lot out of my chest that I put in my journal. And then as I worked things out for myself, it started to spill over into just working out life in general and realizing that if I had worked out other things like speaking better and standing up to family, friends, girls, and all that, it's not so much them, it's me hiding, being too nice. If I worked those out, I wouldn't have had the problems with women that I would have had to start a channel for. If I would have worked that out first, my channel would have been much more altruistic and more for other people than it was really me working my stuff out and hopefully it would help other people. So that's why I'm really encouraging that now, because I've come a long way in working my issues out with women, and I would say I'm over almost all of them. I don't care. I might rant, but it's all fun. I don't really care that much. I'm happy for women to do what they want, whether they want to be happier and better, or if they want to run their life into a wall, go for it. I really don't care. I care about the people that show themselves to be friends or people I can care about. But I started my channel to really work my own problems out with women and relationships. I did that to a large extent, and I enjoy my channel. I enjoy having really good conversations more than just relationships now, because I find that the stuff I find interesting now is not so much dating and relationships, but I can offer a lot of advice because that was what I was focused on when I started my channel. I hope that answers that question. All right. I think we're about done unless there's any final super chats or questions. I think I've answered every super chat. Yes, Prince Revolver 1, 2, Shadow Ghost. Yep. All right. Let's wrap this up in 60 seconds. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you got something out of this. Hope you can reflect on this and leave your comments below about your thoughts. And yeah, have a look at one or two of the recent videos, recent streams I've done about these related topics, about avoidance, inner dialogue, burnout, and have a look at the recent videos. This one's quite popular recently. And also this one relates to today's topic about tell her, not me, where a lot of this stuff we tell others about, we are standing up for ourselves, telling the last person that needs to hear it. You are preaching to the crowd when we talk to other men who are frustrated in the same way. We really need to say a lot of this stuff to the people that matter. We need to say it to Chicky Poo on a date. We need to say it to our wives, our girlfriends, our best friends, our parents, our bosses, and the person in the mirror. Not to everyone but. We really do. And you'll find better friends. You'll find better lovers. You'll enjoy your life more, and you'll sleep better. That's what I found. But human. But whatever, I don't care. All right. I think that's it. Any final commentos? No? All right. All right. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thanks for everyone who showed up. Thanks for the wrenches who showed up. Peg, Karu. I don't think Boffin turned up. I think he's probably doing something. Just the guy. How are you, dude? Melee, Alonzo, Neanderthal, Prince Revolver. All right, Tube the Noob. All right, let's go. Have a good weekend. Jump on my Discord after this. If you've got a microphone, continue the discussion. And I will see you shortly for a video or the next live stream. All right. Bye, everyone.